Alice.
I'm
So-
great.
Ready on the left?
Ready?
Ready on the right?
Yep, let's rock. Fast.
I'd like to call a meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And tonight, I have to be very close to the mic. Tonight we have our invocation by Pastor Doug Parlin. Welcome back, Pastor. He told me he's going to wear clothes that were appropriate for the weather, and he did not wear his big boots, so whatever. You're on, Doug.
May want to wear them tomorrow. Before we ask the Lord's blessing on this meeting, I'd just like to read a few verses of Scripture that give our responsibility as citizens. I want to wish each of you a Happy New Year. Romans 13, 1 through 10, let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. And the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God, and those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be unafraid of the authority? Do what is good, and you'll have praise from the same. For he is God's minister to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is God's minister, avenger to execute wrath on him who practices evil. Therefore, you must be subject not only because of wrath, but also for conscience sake. For because of this you also pay taxes, for they are God's ministers, attending continually to this very thing. Render therefore to all their due, taxes to whom taxes are due, customs to whom customs, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Owe no one anything except to love one another. For he who loves another has fulfilled the law. For the commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not covet. And if there's any other commandment, they're summed up in this saying, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and we thank you for the blessings and the direction and the provision throughout this past year. We thank you, Lord, that your faithfulness. We're thankful that you've guided our city. We thank you for our leadership. We'd ask that you'd bless Mayor Sears and all of his council that works with him and for our fine city. Lord, we ask that you'd pray for his wife, and she's had some real physical issues, and pray you'd guide her and strengthen her and give healing to her body. And Lord, as we realize that in the days before us, and we have very serious cold weather, we pray that you might protect our citizens, our law enforcement, police and firemen, and all of our citizens. Lord, we're not sure what in our immediate area will be affected by it, but we pray you'd protect us and keep us safe. Lord, I ask thy blessing on this meeting. We pray that each one that has a part, that everything that will be done decently in order. And Lord, that we might remember the admonition from the Word of God that we've just read, to be good citizens and to be the right kind of neighbors that love each other. And Lord, bless our city, bless our state and our country. And Lord, we thank you for this time to invoke thy blessing, and we give you thanks. In Jesus' wonderful name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Agenda item number 4, adjustment approval of the January 2nd, our first meeting of the year, 2018 meeting agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll make the motion to adopt the December 19th meeting with no changes, actually. Motion to adopt January 2nd meeting agenda with the following changes. None.
And it's none. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Item number 5 is a public comment period. We ask all those speaking to limit their comments to 3 minutes. I have one signed up, Van Crandall.
Van Crandall, 4813 Salem Ridge Road, here in Holly Springs. Happy New Year. A NC 55 bypass study was prepared by Ramney Kemp and Associates of Raleigh for Campo, Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, and released in July 2016. Along with widening the Highway 55 bypass from 4 to 6 lanes, the study addressed the potential of installing overpasses to separate road grades at 3 congested intersections, including Main Street, Avon Ferry Road, Holly Springs Road / New Hill Road. In summary, I reached the following conclusions from the study. Any clarifications for the following assumptions would be appreciated. At the Main Street / Highway 55 intersection, a potential overpass may or may not be possible. According to the study, the existing Fidelity Bank may need to be removed, as well as access along the existing Walmart driveway. The location has potentially limited right-of-way due to the Walmart and Harris Teeter shopping centers. A potential interchange would require acceleration lanes on the bypass due to the high traffic volumes in the future. Also, based upon the study, I assume that a potential overpass constructed at Avon Ferry Road in the 55 bypass is not possible due to the existing Rex Hospital and its future expansion. A possible service road connection on the eastern side of the bypass to connect between Main Street and Avon Ferry Road is also not possible due to potential impacts to property. When the study was published in 2016, it's my understanding that the Holly Springs Road / New Hill Road / 55 bypass intersection could potentially accommodate an overpass for through traffic on the 55 bypass, including interchange ramps. However, the right-of-way that is potentially required is limited due to the New Hill Place Shopping Center and development on the east side of the bypass near the intersection. A Duke primary care facility is currently under construction at the intersection of the Highway 55 bypass and New Hill Road. Was town government approval for constructing the Duke primary care facility considered in context with the published NC 55 bypass study? Will the Duke primary care facility project further complicate building an overpass at that intersection in the future? I've attempted to locate town council meeting minutes that addressed the Duke primary care facility project. You know, perhaps I missed them somehow. If someone could kindly point me to those meeting minutes, I would sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is the study.
Okay. Thank you, Van.
And in the spirit of New Year's resolutions, I decided to make Joni Powell's life easier by providing written transcripts of my public comments along with a Word file. So I'll pass that on.
Thank you, Mayor. And after that, we will close the public comment period and go directly to agenda item 6A, public hearing 17, and this is almost the whole thing. You always have this long, well, anyway. 17 SEU 13, 17 DP 15, 17 VAR TC 11, 17 Way 35, 17 Way 38, Town Hall, Malbec LLC, the block. Sean Ryan.
Good evening, everybody. So this agenda item is the third and final component of the Town Hall Commons Master Plan that has been before the council several times over the past several months. And I will go through those momentarily here, but this is for a project known as The Block. It will be located just south of the proposed Rogers Street extension, and this site located in red on the screen. So the special exception use request before you tonight is to allow for a special exception use for a new project in the Town Village Zoning District. All projects in the Town Village Zoning Districts are special exception uses, and that allows the Town Council to weigh various factors, potential variances and waivers as part of the approval of the project. Just a quick refresher on what a special exception use is. The town's Unified Development Ordinance identifies that certain uses are beneficial to the overall development of the town, but because sometimes there are certain characteristics or impacts On adjacent properties, our ordinance assigns these as special exception uses so that council can weigh various factors of the project, and if necessary, grant any waivers or variances in order to limit the impacts of that project. So just a little bit of history on the Town Hall Commons master plan and the various components that have already been approved. This is the master plan area. We have South Main Street along the right-hand side of the screen here, Avon Ferry Road running north to south along the left-hand side of the screen, West Ballantyne Street across the top. Here's the existing Rogers Street and the future West Rogers Street extension coming across the middle. Already approved as part of Town Hall Commons has been the town's portion of the project, which is the two-level parking deck located at the corner of West Ballantyne and Avon Ferry Road. The 242 Town Hall Commons building, which will be located along South Main Street, right across Ballantyne Street from Town Hall. And that's what this building looks like. And this project, as I said, is the third and final component on the south side of the West Rogers Street extension and encompasses the area highlighted in red. And just for reference, it's right across from the existing church on the east side of South Main Street. So this is the proposed site plan for the project. North faces to the left, so here's West Rogers Street along the left side of the screen, Avon Ferry Road along the bottom, and South Main Street along the top. The building is approximately 50,000 square feet in total area over 3 floors. In order to meet the town village zoning district requirements, the project is proposing to place the building as close to the street as is encouraged by the ordinance within that 5 to 15 foot setback range. And this property actually has multiple street frontages, so that will be met along Main Street, West Rogers Street, and Avon Ferry Road. There is one exception, and that is the variance request before you tonight. This project actually has frontage on East Oak Avenue, which doesn't exist. It's paper right-of-way, so that street is not there. However, because it is right-of-way, our ordinance does require that 5 to 15 foot setback be provided in that area. So that variance request is to increase that maximum setback from 15 feet to where the building is proposed at 210 feet. 63 total parking spaces are required for this project. 63 parking spaces have been provided for this project off-street. 107 spaces total are required, so 63 of those are off-street parking spaces. 25 spaces will be on-street parking spaces located along the perimeter of the project, and the remaining 19 spaces will come from the parking deck or the public parking lot west of Avon Ferry Road. This is the proposed landscaping plan. It meets all of the town's requirements for landscaping in the town village zoning district, which in this case, it's primarily street trees, which you can see are provided along Main Street, West Rogers Street, and Avon Ferry Road, as well as our interior parking lot landscaping and our foundation landscaping. And all those requirements have been met. These are the proposed building elevations for the project. The buildings feature a mixture of brick and stone in various patterns. Building massing has been provided along all the facades. 40% or more glazing has been provided on the first floor, and that exceeds our minimum requirement and is good for exposure for retail and restaurant type land uses. So it's very encouraging to have all of the a lot of the glazing on the first level. And just to orient you, this is the elevation that will face West Rogers Street. This is the elevation that will face Avon Ferry Road. These are the interior courtyard proposed elevations. And this top elevation is what is proposed for Main Street. And you can see it has a little bit different character than the rest of the building to mimic that historical downtown feel that our Village District area plan strives to create for downtown. There are 2 architectural waivers being requested for this project. The applicant does have a presentation that goes into more detail as to their specific requests and where exactly those measurements are found. So I'm going to let them cover that in their presentation, but certainly if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer those after their presentation. With that, I'd like to invite engineering up to quickly go over some of the engineering requirements for this project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello. So just a quick engineering overview of the project. We have the water service available through an upgraded 12-inch water main on Avent Ferry Road. They're going to connect in this area here. And that will be installed under the Public Parking and Infrastructure Development Project. For the sewer service, there's an existing 8-inch sewer gravity line on Avent Ferry Road as well that they'll be connecting to. For transportation, there was a traffic impact analysis that was approved under the Town Hall Commons Master Plan project that accounted for impacts from the Blocks project as well. This project will be responsible for installing sidewalk along Main Street, West Rogers Street, and Avent Ferry Road. And the recommended improvements will be incorporated under the Town Hall Commons Public Parking and Infrastructure Project, along with the road widening along Avent Ferry Road, Main Street, and West Rogers Street. For the environmental side of things, we have this project in the Cape Fear River Basin, and the project will be required to meet the MPDES Phase 2 post-construction stormwater ordinance.
All right, and Planning Board did review this proposal at their meeting last month. Their vote was to recommend approval, 8-0 with 1 vacancy. Our Planning Board member tonight is Chris DeShazer, and he is here tonight if you'd like to hear the Planning Board's discussion. All right, let's bring it on. Chris, do you want to come up?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Chris.
Questions?
I had just a quick question. One of the concerns was how the project was leasing space. The board expressed support for the applicant's goal to support local business over chain business. Was there a concern? I mean, I know we've expressed that's what we wanted. Was there a concern if they did put a chain or something about parking or anything?
No, not really. The board was the applicants gave a very good presentation, and we were very pleased with the fact that they really wanted to promote local business, and that was a big key part of their presentation. They really wanted to do local business. They promote local business. They were really doing a good job of just showing us the way it was laid out, and based within the guidelines of what we can really approve or deny. It was within all guidelines.
Oh, okay. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you guys didn't have a concern if there was.
No,
okay.
None.
Any other questions or comments?
Chris, did you talk at all about changes to or impact with the noise ordinances? Because this is a three-story building.
Actually,
downtown.
So they did talk a little bit about it because there's a house right on the backside, and they talked. There was a question about more importantly lights, and there was a question about could there be directional lights so that it would not affect that house. Noise was not really discussed. There are variances in the trees and everything. Should take care of that from what we saw, but I would kind of defer back to the applicant on that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we're all good.
Hey, thanks,
Chris.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, with that, the applicant has prepared a pretty detailed presentation, so I would like to invite them up at this time, and then if you have any questions for staff at the end of their presentation, we'd be happy to answer them.
Do that afterwards, sure.
Thank you.
Come on down. Just for the record, name and address, please.
Got it. Chris Harrell, 129 Chandler Springs, Holly Springs, North Carolina. So before I get into the details of our project here, I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about who we are and how we got to the point where we are today with our project. So my name, as I mentioned, is Chris Harrell. My brother is here. He's John Harrell. He's the guy that kind of looks like me, not quite as good looking. And we currently own several companies located in Holly Springs. One of them, as you may be familiar with, is Co-working Station, located just behind us here in the old police station. So we entered into an agreement with the town about almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, to run the co-working station there. We've been able to successfully bring 30 new businesses to downtown Holly Springs. So that was a public-private partnership that has gone fairly well. We also own 3 additional companies in Holly Springs with different locations, 2 of them across the street in the office condos and 1 at the intersection of Sunset Lake and Holly Springs Road. And those all cater to the clinical laboratory industry. We also have partners on this, John Lee, Jeff McSwain, and Stephen Chan from the Rendering House. They're here today as well. They're also located across the street in the office condos, and they are the ones that are going to be responsible for any of the renderings you see today and the videos that I'll be playing for you. But they create renderings, 3D models, and virtual tours for the residential housing community. So, this project started out as my brother and I were looking for a solution for our own companies, and we're spread out over 4 different locations, and we wanted to kind of consolidate us all into one spot again. So we also knew there was a strong desire for a downtown Holly Springs, and we saw this as an opportunity to not only solve our problem for our own business, but also to kind of give Holly Springs that downtown that they've been yearning for. And I think it seems to be the one thing that people in this town can agree upon, is that we want a bigger, more vibrant downtown. So we're very excited to do that. So when we initially started this project, we actually purchased some property a little bit further south from where we are ultimately going to develop our plan. And we started towards developing a smaller 15,000 square foot building at that location. And that was in, I think, July of 2016 is when we had our first scoping meeting with the town. So that is this project that you see in front of you here. And so we got fairly far down the road with this project, and to the point where we were getting ready to submit some things to the town. And at that point, that's when the town approached us again about possibly entering into another public-private partnership. So part of that partnership meant that we needed to relocate our project closer to the heart of downtown. We also needed to expand our plans, and we also needed to purchase some additional land that was owned by a private citizen. And part of the town's agreement was in exchange, they would help us with things like parking, stormwater management, and road improvements. So, we viewed this, even though the timing wasn't perfect, it was a great opportunity for us and something that we were very interested in. So we diligently began working towards that. And so after a few months in March of 2017, we had purchased the land and began to meet with the town to develop the project that we have now. And we've been meeting with them every 2 weeks for, I don't know, it's been over a year now of meeting with the town, but it's been gone very well. So it's gone through a lot of revisions. We started with a square building, and then we were a polygon building, and then we were an L-shaped building, and then we were kind of a U-shaped building, and now we are this somewhat U-shaped building that you see in front of you. So all of these, designs and these modifications we made were typically due to 2 different issues. One was we had some very challenging elevation and grade issues to deal with this project, as well as just some public feedback. So in regards to the elevation, it's hard to tell a little bit, but there is actually about a 10-foot drop in grade from the right-of-way on South Main Street to where our building sits. And so we also had begun to go through numerous different variations of the project, and eventually we settled on this design that we were happy with. And we decided to be bold and release our rough draft of our copy to the public and ask for their feedback. So we figured, these are going to be our patrons. This is a public-private partnership. Who better to get feedback from? So they gave us their feedback, a lot of it. So the overwhelming feedback initially was that our initial building, this design here, didn't quite have the charm and the character that they were looking for. They wanted something more traditional, more of what you would see in a traditional downtown. So in our defense, we didn't have signage and people and trees and all that stuff that gives it a little bit more character, but we said, you know what, we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to try to incorporate as many of these suggestions as we can into our design. So about a month later, we were able to come up with a new design that we released. And that is this design here, which received markedly better feedback. We've had over 10,000 views on this design and without a single negative comment. So I think it's fair to say at this point that the public has been very supportive of the new design and very much looking forward to our project. So before I go into the details of, into the video that I'm about to show you, I did want to quickly orientate everyone to just make sure you know where we are in relation to the project. So, oops. So this here is kind of a bird's eye view of downtown. The building here is where we sit today. This is Town Hall in red. This is the 242 project here in gray, the parking deck here in yellow, and our building is the U-shaped building here in blue. In between the 242 project and our project is the yet-to-be-constructed West Rogers Street. This also gives you a great view of all the parking that will be added in downtown Holly Springs. So between the parking deck, the satellite parking, the on-street parking, and the interior of our project here, there's going to be roughly 370 new parking spaces added downtown. In the second view, there's kind of two things I want to point out to you here. On the south side here, you can begin to see some of the elevation change grade issues that we were dealing with here. So what would appear to be, entering Main Street on the first floor of the building is actually the second floor of the building, as there is a parking deck or a parking garage below grade here. And then the other thing I want to point out is even though we have a 3-story building technically, which some might feel would be too big for downtown, because of the grade issues that we're dealing with, it actually forms a very cohesive roof line with the 242 project and the Town Hall project, or the Town Hall that you see here. So, without any further ado, I do want to show you a little video about our project here. This first view takes you north along Main Street. There are herringbone pattern sidewalks along Main Street that are approximately 17 feet wide and vastly improve the walkability in downtown. You'll notice varying modulation along the Main Street storefronts, as well as the changing colors and materials between each bay. This gives the appearance that each tenant is its own separate building, similar to what you would see in a traditional downtown. There's a corridor that allows pedestrians to access the stairs and elevator, as well as the interior parking. This also allows office tenants to have direct access to Main Street. This is the amphitheater, with seating for up to 150 people. Sorry, I felt like I had to yell over that.
Well, you did.
I did, yes. Okay, so where did we leave off here? Right. So this is the amphitheater with seating for up to 150 people. Our tenant in this space will be a cafe by day and a microbrew tap room by night. There will be a garage door that opens to this space where we will have regular performances by live musicians. This here is the main entrance to the core of the building. As you enter into the foyer, you will be struck by how airy and open the space feels. The entryway will be completely exposed on all 3 floors. The stairs between the second and third floor will also be exposed. On the 3rd floor of West Rogers Street is where you will find a space for a rooftop restaurant and bar, approximately 1,200 square feet of outdoor patio space. Customers will also overlook the amphitheater and have beautiful views of Town Hall, the Cultural Center, MIMS property, and the future MIMS Park. As you progress down West Rogers Street, you will see space for up to 6 more retail tenants. The 2nd floor will also be the future home of the new co-working station. As you wrap around to Avon Ferry, you will see space for up to 5 more retail tenants, as well as office space on the 2nd and 3rd floors. West Rogers and Avon Ferry locations do have many traditional elements to them, but also have a bit more of a modern design. While we do want to keep with the traditional feel, it's important to think about the experience once you're inside the space and remember that this is not just about retail. Half the building will also be devoted to office space, as we're trying to attract burgeoning high-tech companies that prefer space with lots of natural light. In addition, we're trying to create a space for all of Holly Springs, not just one demographic. Teenagers in the college crowd tend to favor more modern design, so we felt this was a healthy compromise that gave many of the traditional downtown they've been yearning for, appeals to the younger crowd, and gives us the ability to attract new, growing businesses to Holly Springs. So in total, the building is roughly 52,300 square feet. There's about 22,000 devoted to retail space. Another 23,000 is devoted to office space and 7,000 to core space. We have room for roughly 13 retail tenants. And due to the owners that are going to be occupying the space, we do have most of the office space filled, but we do have about 7,000 square feet of office space still available to rent as well. We do also have an event space right up in this area here that can be used to sit up to about 40 people and can be used for corporate events, birthday parties, private events, and things of that nature. I also want to point out the sidewalk connectivity, how this relates to the rest of the downtown Village District area. So our project here, our plot of land, is highlighted in yellow, and all the orange lines that you see running through this area are the sidewalks throughout downtown. What's not really highlighted or you don't see yet is there will be a sidewalk behind the parking deck with the 242 project, as well as our project. So really there's only going to be one small gap along Avon Ferry that is not completely connected. So I would also like to kind of give you an idea of what the building will look like once it is actually fully built and how that's going to be kind of incorporated into downtown. So we created a few before and after photos for you to take a look at. So this first shot is a before photo from Raleigh Street as it stands today. And this is what it would look like once the project is complete. This shot here is more from the intersection of Raleigh Street and Rogers Street as it stands today. And this is what it might look like once it's complete. One thing you'll notice that is missing from this photo is there's no ugly power lines that are going down the street and blocking your view. So part of our agreement with the town is that we will either bury or relocate any of the power lines associated with the project. And this here is my favorite view. So this is if you were heading north on South Main Street as it is today. And this is what it will look like once the project is complete. You can see Town Hall here in the distance as well. So in addition to several of the more obvious benefits of a project like this could bring to downtown, there are some maybe less obvious benefits that it brings to the town itself as well. So the first benefit would be just some jobs. We are anticipating many new jobs being created by the block. In total, we anticipate around 300 people will be calling the block their work home. It is also going to allow the new co-working station to expand. So right now, co-working station has about 3,500 square feet and will now have about 11,000 square feet. So we have 30 companies in co-working station now, and we anticipate we'll be over 60 companies in co-working station once this expansion is complete. Also allows us to keep our promise to the town of Holly Springs, where we part of our original agreement with them was that we would find a permanent home for co-working station once the town needed the current police building back. Also allows Holly Springs to retain some businesses. So as I kind of mentioned before, our companies are growing. We, a couple years ago, had 3 employees. Now we have about 30 employees. The same can be said for the rendering house as well. So for the time being, we can kind of hold our breath and stay where we are until our project is complete. But if it wasn't for this project, it may be possible that we would have to look at options outside of Holly Springs, as there's very few options in town that could suit our needs, especially ones that are in a downtown area that allow for our employees to have shopping and dining on their lunch breaks without getting in their car. So being that we are a small business as well, we've been really focused on small business. We have only used small businesses for our project. So our architect, our civil engineer, our general contractor, everyone that's been related to our project has always been small business, and that's the way we plan on keeping it. And that's the type of tenants we're trying to attract to our space as well. So you won't see McDonald's or Macy's or Walgreens or any of those types of places going into the block. And the types of tenants that we're looking for, typically these are businesses that are many times just going out on their own for the very first time. And so these are businesses that many developers may not give the opportunity to, but we do certainly have to put some stipulations there to make sure that they're financially able to be solvent, but we're committed to giving people opportunities that maybe other developers would not. By focusing on small business and local business, that helps keep the money from those businesses to stay in Holly Springs. So studies have shown that when you shop local, 68% of that revenue stays in that town or stays locally versus when you shop at National Change, only 43% of that money stays local. So that, coupled with the fact that there'll be about a 2.5% sales tax that Wake County will retain, will vastly increase the amount of money staying in Holly Springs. We anticipate that the block will generate somewhere between $20 to $40 million annually in revenue, and these savings will roughly be $5.5 to $11 million in money staying in Holly Springs that otherwise wouldn't be in Holly Springs. And the most important thing for us is, even though this is a business opportunity for us, we're just really excited about being involved in the community. We are really looking forward to the block being a pillar in the Holly Springs community, and we do want to be able to use the block to serve the community in any way we can. So one of the big focuses for our project has been the amphitheater space that seats 150 people. So that's not a big revenue generator necessarily for us, but that is an area where we anticipate, having fundraisers and food drives and just local events held in that space, and we're just really excited about that. So in order for the project to be completed as it currently stands, as Sean had mentioned to you previously, there are 2 waivers and a variance that we would like to request. So the first waiver, as you see in front of you here, we are requesting to reduce the bay width from 20 feet to 7 feet 4 inches on the Main Street elevation. So the goal here was to make this look similar to a traditional downtown and have the smaller storefronts that you would typically see. And that is true on some of the other elevations as well. So the goal is to vary the rhythm of the architectural design elements there. We are also asking that you would allow us to increase the maximum continuous roof length to more than 50 feet. On the West Rogers Street elevation, that needs to be increased to 229 feet. Typically, the goal or the reason for this regulation is the town doesn't want people building big, ugly, square buildings that have no interest to them. With our project, even though this is technically one long run, as you can see in this lower picture, there's actually a lot of interest in the roof line here. We have a rooftop deck that's partially covered. We have a roof that flares out here and kind of creates a very dramatic effect. And we feel it's actually one of our most eye-catching elements of the design. And so we feel, and this is true on some of the other elevations as well, on the Avent Ferry side, the building itself kind of caves in here. And there's also other areas that kind of jut out, but does technically go over 50 feet of continuous roof line. So we designed it in a way to create maximum interest, and we feel by changing any of the roof line here would actually take away from the design and not necessarily add to it. And the variance that we'd like to request, as Sean mentioned, we are requesting this to increase from 15 feet along the East Oak Ave boundary line here to 210 feet. As Sean mentioned, this East Oak Ave is not actually technically developed, and there's no plans to develop East Oak Ave here. And to design a building that would be within 15 feet of all the bordering streets would be pretty much impossible, and there would be no way you could get parking into a building design like that. So that really does it for my presentation here, but I do want to thank you guys for taking the time to hear about our project. I also did want to thank the town of Holly Springs. As I mentioned, it's been a long road to get to where we are today. We've been working with the town for about 1.5 years. There have been a million changes along the way. They've been very gracious, very easy to work with along the way, and you guys should really give yourselves a hand because you have an incredible staff. So I do thank you. I'll be here to answer any questions. We do also have our civil engineer and the rest of the owners here that can answer some questions as well.
Chris, good job. Questions or comments at this point for the developer?
Chris, I have a question.
Yes.
You did a great job redoing the design, by the way.
Thank you.
I know
Appreciate
that definitely felt more in line with what folks were hoping would happen downtown. I have been talking to some of the old homeowners in town and working with town staff, and one of the things that has come up is the noise and the difference feel that it will have in town in terms of traffic and stuff. Can you speak to, because I heard you talk about opening up the walls for a bar and music, what your consideration is for folks that live downtown and would be sensitive to noise? Because we, as a downtown person, we hear the cultural center noise, and this is far more closer to some of those old homes.
Sure. Well, when it comes to the areas where it kind of would create more noise, I guess the housing that we were most concerned with was the ones that were closest to our project. So we do have some houses that are on the southern side of the building, which is why we put all the kind of areas that are going to have some outdoor activity to it on the opposite side of the building, as not to disturb those neighbors. You know, it's possible there may be some noise that's created from the project, but you know, we're not anticipating that to be an issue. I know it is a downtown area, which, you know, to have a vibrant downtown, that might be kind of a necessary evil a little bit, to have a little bit of noise in downtown. But there's only so much, I guess, we can do when it comes to making sure there's no noise issues if we do want to have something like an amphitheater and some outdoor space where people can gather publicly. And because, you know, really the goal of our building is to be a place where, you know, people don't necessarily have to have a reason for why they're going here. This is kind of be an area where on a Saturday you just you head downtown and you might just, you know, sit out on the amphitheater stairs and have a coffee with a friend or hang out for a little while. So it was important to us to have a considerable amount of outdoor space to kind of foster that community environment that we were looking for.
And I agree. I think that's great. I guess I was just thinking, are you thinking bands till 2 o'clock at night, every night?
Sure. No, we'll definitely certainly be sensitive to that. And I'm sure there will be, I don't know if the town has regulations in place right now for things like that, but we'll certainly be very sensitive to that. I don't think we've come up with a set policy as to exactly what that would be yet, but obviously if I was living downtown, I wouldn't want to hear music till 2 a.m. either. And so
occasionally, sure, but not.
Maybe on the 4th of July or something, but yeah.
The other thing is I'm looking for a time frame because I'm wondering what this will do to existing traffic on Main Street while this is all being constructed and after. What is the time frame for this all happening?
So as long as everything goes according to plan, we're allowed to begin construction in April of 2018. And we anticipate this being about an 11-month construction process. So that would put us at completion of March of 2019. Once again, that is if everything goes according to plan. One issue that we are dealing with is we do need to relocate several of the power lines that are on our project. And we've been working with Duke Energy already to kind of get the wheels in motion on that, but maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but I was surprised at how long that could be a 6 to 8 month project alone just to relocate the power lines. And we can't do any of the grading of our site until those power lines are relocated.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
No, just,
go ahead. No, you go right ahead. Go ahead.
Ladies.
Okay. I know, I just going off what Councilwoman Kelly said is, and when these things do happen, road closures and things like that, we just ask that the communication with the town is, you know, is done appropriately so that you can communicate with the residents about, you know, give them as much advance notice as possible, just so they can prepare if those things.
So, as I had mentioned before, we've been meeting with the town once every 2 weeks, and we've been doing that for about a year or so now. We plan to continue doing that throughout the entirety of the entire project. So they're going to be very well informed of any changes, anything going on with our project. And there's also been talk about hiring an independent person that is going to possibly oversee all 3 projects going on between the parking deck and the 242 project as well. That'll help make sure those lines of communication stay open.
Your turn.
First of all, thank you. Thank you, Chris and John, for putting this project together. Thank you for putting it out on social media, for feedback that you got. We're excited about this opportunity to bring downtown. I think what you're bringing to not only Holly Springs, but the business, the success that you guys have brought will continue in Holly Springs. And I'm truly excited. You know, we're only, 18 months out or so?
I hope, yes.
Okay. No, good things. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Chris, in the few offline conversations I've had with you and some other members of your team, you know, I've expressed my excitement for this project. It's very admirable that you put your project out there for public scrutiny. And I'm glad you guys listened to that feedback, took it to heart, and really came back with a product I think the town and the public is going to appreciate very much. You're helping make our downtown a destination, which is something I think we need to do to make our downtown successful. Your project, the 242 project, are the main components of that. We get one shot to make our downtown, and it's great that you guys are all pretty much from Holly Springs, and we're keeping that all internal. So good luck, and I look forward to March.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, the public feedback wasn't the easiest thing to take.
Never is.
But in the long run, it made our project better, and we, as owners, are happier about it, and I think the town's excited about it.
And I think that public feedback, though, it made people feel like they were kind of more part of it, more engaged, and kind of, and so I know it was really, really appreciated.
Sure. No, and that is our plan for the entirety of this project, is to get the public's input on it. So we'll be releasing stuff every week or so about new things happening with it, and getting the public's feedback as to what they want to see, and hopefully creating a place where the public can feel like they belong here, that they had something to do with it.
Awesome.
Great presentation.
Any other comments for Chris? We good? Thank you, Chris. Good job. Great product. At this point in time, we're going to open the public hearing, but we're also going to close the public hearing because no one signed up. We're open for other questions of staff or internal thoughts and comments of the board. Any further comments?
I wanted to ask the staff the same question about the traffic on Main Street, what the construction for all of these projects, what the impact will be, and if you've worked with any of the other local businesses to let them know the impact.
I will defer that to Elizabeth, it looks like.
You thought you'd get away with this, didn't you, Elizabeth?
It's a big project. It needs a lot of us involved. Probably the biggest thing on the infrastructure and the road improvements and effects will come with the town's portion of the project. We're doing the road improvements and the utility work that will be done along Main Street, West Rogers Street, and a large portion of what will be done on Avent Ferry Road. So the good part of that is we've got more control over the schedule on that and on informing the citizens of the timeline. There will be road closures because of the utility work that's got to be done, both on Main Street and Avent Ferry Road. So we do anticipate that will be a part of this process, but it is something we know we've got to be very mindful of.
Do you know how long those were? I'm thinking of some of the businesses that were impacted by the Bass Lake Bridge, that they felt that impact, and wondering how we're working with the other businesses.
I don't know that we have a schedule for those kind of specific items at this point, but they're coming.
And there's not any long-term closures other than the Rogers Street, but like Main Street would be lane closures from 9 to 4, Avent Ferry Road from 9 to 4. I think there's one portion of Avent Ferry when we have to replace the sewer line, there will be
an extended period of time that will be closed.
But of Avent Ferry being closed, but all those will be notified well in advance. And with the portion of Avent Ferry that's going to be closed, there will be, Main Street would then be open, so there would be no businesses along the frontage of that closed portion.
Good, good. Other questions or comments? Seeing none? Sean, anything else? Nope. All right, we have 4 motions. Who would like to attack number 1?
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 1801 to make and accept the findings of fact for special exception use petition 17 SEU 13, variance 17 VARTC 11, and waiver 17 WAV 36 and 35.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Number 2.
Having made findings of fact that the project meets the requirements to be granted a waiver of regulations of UDO, motion to approve waivers of UDO Section 3.08, Architectural and Site Design Requirements, 17 WAV 35 and 17 WAV 36, in association with Development Petition Number 17 DP 15 for Town Hall Commons, Malbec LLC, The Block.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Number 3.
Having made findings of fact that the project meets the requirements to be granted a variance, motion to approve variance petition 17-VARTC-11.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Number 4 and last.
Having made findings of fact that the project meets the requirements to be granted a special exception use, motion to approve special exception use 17-SEU-13 and Development Plan 17-DP-15 for Town Hall Commons, Mulback, the block, with conditions listed in agenda packets.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, Sean. And thank you, board. That's a very exciting project, and I think we all are in tune with the excitement, okay? Item number 7, consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion to adopt consent agenda?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 8A, new business, 04-DP04A02, 5432 Sunset Lake Road expansion. Matt Beard. Hi, Matt.
Good evening. All right, so here we've got another local business expanding. The Hemlock Bluffs Animal Hospital is located at 5432 Sunset Lake Road. As you see on the screen, the property is local business zoned, but surrounded by residential zone properties, not all of which are residences. We've got the Sunrise United Methodist Church adjacent. What that means is that it has to comply with the commercial building standards for primary facades on all the sides, as that is required for all residential adjacent properties and right-of-way adjacent facades. So, yeah, every side. They comply with all of the landscaping requirements, including parking lot landscaping, landscaping islands, the landscape screening, so that they're not shining their lights at the church or at the street. Foundation landscaping and perimeter yard landscaping is largely accomplished through the preservation of existing vegetation. The main areas of concern with the expansion of the structure, which is on the kind of the backside as we're looking at it here, was the area adjacent, because there was not a whole lot of existing vegetation there. We had them fill that in. As I stated, all of these sides are considered primary facades, and as such would be required to have 60% of those faces covered in some kind of masonry. This is the existing building as approved in 2004. The addition matches the materials used. So they provide the base body and cap, as well as all of the other regulations, except for the minimum amount of glazing required, which would be 40% for the two most pedestrian visible facades, and the masonry. As well, they have not provided more than one human scale design element on those facades. So, as we've seen before, when a building is trying to keep a residential appearance, but it's a commercial building, we require waivers. They allow that kind of flexibility. Bring Rachel up to talk about engineering.
You're back, Rachel.
I'll lower this again. So
I do the
tippy
same
toes
thing.
last time, you could see. So with this amendment, there are no additional changes to the existing water service. The sewer service is available through a new connection with a gravity line that's over here at the back of the property. Previously, the sewer service was provided through septic system and will be removed with this expansion. With this amendment, there are no additional TIA or road widening requirements. Previously, Town Council approved a fee in lieu of road widening along Sunset Lake Road with the construction of the original site plan approval. And this project is in our Neuse River Basin and will be required to meet the town's NPDES Phase 2 post-construction stormwater ordinance. Do you have any additional questions?
Any questions for engineering? Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good job. What else, Matt?
The planning board recommended approval. Vote was 8-0-1, again with a vacancy. And our representative tonight is Chris DeShazer. He is available, I believe, still, if you have any questions for him.
Anybody want Chris to come up again for any reason?
No.
I think we're good, Chris. I think we're good.
You're off the hook. If you have any additional questions for me, happy to answer them.
I don't think
Otherwise,
so.
we have the applicant here as well.
I just had one question, and I'm not sure if you can answer or not, about the, I remember when Hemlock Bluffs was moving in there, one of the questions was about boarding, and I know they don't do long-term boarding. And I was wondering if this addition was going to have anything would be changing that.
We'll let the applicant come up and speak to that.
And name and address, please.
Bob Snyder, 58 Cicely Drive, Clayton, North Carolina.
So I guess I'm trying to remember back about the concerns about the boarding, and it did deal a little bit with engineering as far as sewer, things like that, for waste and everything like that. Will you be doing long-term boarding? Is that what the expansion's for?
No, the expansion is just to increase our treatment area, a surgery suite, a call center, and 2 more exam rooms.
Okay, perfect.
Other questions? I had the same question. You answered it. Thank you.
I did, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thanks to the planning board for all the hard work that they do to help us with making decisions. I think sometimes we forget that. I think it's probably time for motions. And there are 3.
I'll take the first one. Motion to make and accept the findings of fact to be recorded in the minutes for a waiver for architectural and site design requirements, 17-WAV-29, 17-WAV-30, 17-WAV-31 for development plan petition number 04-DP-04A02 for 5432 Sunset Lake Road as submitted by the Curry Engineering Group, PLLC.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Number 2.
Having made findings of fact that the petition meets the requirements to be granted a waiver of regulations of UDO, motion to approve waivers of UDO Section 3.08 Architectural and Site Design Requirements 17-WAV-29, 17-WAV-30, 17-WAV-31 for development plan petition number 04-DP-04-A02 for 5432 Sunset Lake Road as submitted by the Curry Engineering Group, PLLC.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And last, number 3.
Motion to approve development plan number 04-DP-04A02 for 5432 Sunset Lake Road as submitted by the Curry Engineering Group, PLLC, with conditions listed in agenda packets.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8B, under new business, establish budget for picnic shelter at Sug Farm. Your name was, Len Bradley, yes. Special night for Len, but we'll talk about that later.
Thank you, Dick. For quite a few years now, we've been working to get the Sug Farm opened up for the general public.
Yes, we have.
And in order for us to do that, we have to have handicap accessible restrooms. In order for us to have the restrooms, we have to have water and sewer in the facility, which that project has already begun happening. There are 2 challenges that we have to face with every project or anything that we jump off into to try and improve the facility. One is conservation easement that was established by Mr. Sugg before he passed away. The other is the Triangle Land Conservancy, which it is required that they approve any structure that we build on that property. So after a few years of deliberation about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to conquer the restroom and parking lot issue. Many conversations with staff, and we thought it would work better for us to go ahead and include with the restrooms a picnic shelter. Now, any facility that we build there has to be constructed within a building envelope that was established by the existing buildings that were on the facility or on the property. So anything that we, even though we've demolished and removed many of those buildings, the building envelopes remain the same. So even to build the restrooms, we needed to put that in inside of the building envelope. So getting back to the picnic shelter, probably for a couple of years we've been looking with this. Looking at this. We've hired Weeks Turner Architecture some months back to help us with the design and with the programming for a picnic shelter, as well as for the restrooms. Let's see. Picnic shelter is planned to be a pretty large facility that would house approximately 250 people, with the opportunity of having a cater kitchen, an outdoor fireplace, fans, in order for it to be used through many months out of the year. Now, because of the requirements for large storage area, this setup as you see here, it shows the large restroom areas, which would be designed to accommodate an event in the structure, as well as for use by the general public, anybody that's in the park, without interfering with an event going on within the shelter. The shelter, this design shows many picnic tables, which is the way that the shelter would be left on a daily basis. When we have other larger events where people would be eating, a lot of times picnic shelters are not the appropriate use of tables, and in that case we think that round tables would be more appropriate, but they're not necessarily appropriate for everyday use. So what we would do is, if people wanted to use this type of setup, they would be required to rent those tables and bring those to the building. Our initial discussions were for this shelter and restrooms to be at a cost of about $500,000. As we worked with our architect, and we felt like our needs would be best met by accommodating at least 250 people because of the existing inventory of shelters we currently have. We have one shelter that's for 20 people. We have two shelters that accommodate approximately 30 to 40 people. We have another shelter that accommodates approximately 100 people. And this one would obviously be much bigger and give us the ability to have larger events at a facility that can accommodate those events. We got two estimates from contractors on what the cost would be to construct this facility. Their estimates and what we believe would be the FF&E cost, along with some other, some paving and grading around the site, would be approximately $800,000. Tonight I'm asking that you approve of the $800,000 budget and appropriate those funds from the Parks and Recreation reserves. That fund is healthy and growing, and we think this would be an appropriate use of those funds. Question?
Staff recommendations. Approved.
Okay.
Here's your picture. Yeah.
There's-
Questions or comments of Lynn?
Len, the requested budget's about a third of the Parks and Rec reserve account right now. So two questions. Well, actually, I guess you answered one of my questions with the change from 500 to 800. But the second question is, actually, I do have two questions. Sorry. The timing of this. Why is now the right time to move forward constructing this shelter? And then secondly, what sort of revenue opportunities are we looking at from rentals coming back to offset some of that cost?
Okay. I believe that revenues generated over a year's time would be between $30,000 and $50,000. We currently have or host about 30 weddings per year at Bass Lake. We get requests for a larger event space. Bass Lake, currently, we can only host approximately 150 people. That's if we are able to use the indoor and outdoor areas. I believe the maintenance cost for the facility is going to be between $11,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year for the maintenance costs.
And the timing?
The timing is, that's a good question. I know that this among, as well as the next two items on the agenda, are going to be discussed extensively at the retreat in a few weeks. I'm not going to be at that retreat. I feel obligated to come before you tonight to give you all the input I can because I'm not going to be there. And we've worked on these and the other projects for quite some time, and I want to try to get this pushed along and get it going as quickly as we possibly can, because it has been quite some time in the hopper, and we've been working diligently with the architect to get this to you, and quite frankly, that's taken too long, but that was out of our control.
How long have we been talking about this, Lynn, roughly, from the very get-go?
2 years. 2 years.
I remember.
At least.
A question about, I know we were talking about revenue from the picnic shelter, but will it be kind of like the one at Womble, where when it's not rented, people can sit there, have a picnic, you know?
I'm certain it will be. That's the way it is for all of our picnic shelters. It's first come, first serve, unless you want to reserve.
Okay.
And reservations give you exclusive use, and also gives you a guarantee that you're going to get it at the time that you want it. So, yes, it would be for that same type of use.
Any comments about how easy it's going to get to, or it will be to get water there? We've talked about that often.
Well, the plans are already in place, and I believe that we're probably putting pipe in the ground now.
Yes.
Yeah, we designed the water and sewer, and our Public Works Department is installing the water and the sewer, and the water was right there with the current development that brought it down Grigsby. We're just extending that water. And then the sewer with the Parks of Bass Lake, they extended sewer, so we're just connecting onto that.
Super.
And Public Works is constructing that.
Okay, good.
Are those costs included in this budget? Materials is that separate or?
That's separate and already approved budget.
Okay.
That was from water and sewer reserves.
So the 800,000 is just for the structure, or is that everything included?
That's everything included.
Tables that we have to purchase?
The picnic tables,
Indoor.
some grading that would need to be done in the area, and then paving for the small parking lot that is required.
We'll have an area for storage for the tables there, right?
There will be an area to store them, whether we just move them to another location. What we would do is we would remove the picnic tables if we had a large event where other type tables would be needed. We'd just move them to another facility for the weekend, and then we'd put them back in the shelter afterward.
Other questions or comments?
I have a couple questions. What accessibility for restrooms now will have at Suck Farms? Does that change the times that people can go there? Is it available more days, longer days? Because there'll be restrooms.
Right now, we don't have any handicap accessible restrooms there.
Right.
We're total use of porta johns.
And but the park closes at a certain time.
It closes. The park hours will remain the same.
Okay. And when the park is open, everybody will have access to these restrooms?
Yes, even if there isn't an event or a big rental for the picnic shelter, there still will be restrooms accessible to general park use.
Okay. I didn't hear you mention any barbecue pits or anything like Womble Park, if people wanted to go there and do barbecues. Is that part of this?
I'm sure that we will put small grills around the picnic shelter. Yes.
And the only other thing, being somebody who's used Womble Park picnic shelters, is there any ventilation or fans that you're planning to put up, because that would help with the circulation and flies?
We have discussed putting the same type fans that we have up at the stadium.
Okay.
There. Okay. Yes.
Big fans.
Yes, big fans.
We need them at Womble Park shelters too.
Okay, anything else?
If I recall the bathrooms, there was some on the back and then some interior to the shelter. Is that correct with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we would be able to close off. We can the restrooms so that restrooms will be totally separate for general use and for the facility, the shelter use.
That's what I was getting at. If you have a rental client, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Len, where do you anticipate where this building would sit? Where in Suggs?
Okay. Should have shown that on the map. It's where the large barn was located on the left.
Okay.
And it's mostly gone now, I think.
Yeah.
But it'll be in that area.
Okay.
It's the closest we could get it to our event area.
Okay. Thanks.
And this design is final? This is the design that's...
No, this is just a sketch.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'm excited to have that come into Sugg Farm, make it a little bit more useful, that area, and this is be able to be used by all residents of Holly Springs.
Yep.
Certainly having bathrooms instead of porta johns there would be
we talked about that.
Be nice.
I will tell you that even though we're putting restrooms here, for large events there will still be a need for porta johns until we can get another set of restrooms built in another location. But
how much area will be paved for the parking?
There will be about, I would say, less than 20 parking spaces, 15 to 20 parking spaces.
I know that's kind of a tricky thing, isn't it? Or is it already a paved area there?
No, there is not. But for us to, whatever it takes for us to get it handicap accessible, that's the type of surface we'll put in there.
And with water there might even be other projects in the future that we've been waiting on. Maybe like a dog park or something like that. That's not for today. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Lynn. Motion. We have one.
Motion to approve establishing an $800,000 budget for the construction of a picnic shelter on the Sugg Farm property to be appropriated from Parks and Recreation reserves.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Lynn. Agenda item 8C, new business. Consider installation of Veterans Park fishing pier. Lynn?
Okay. Many of you know, I'm not sure if everyone knows, that we have an extended relationship with North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission at Bass Lake, pretty much since the facility opened in 2004. Bass Lake is a community fishing lake with Wildlife Resources Commission, and what that does for us is that we're able to, they provide fish feeders for us, they stock fish in the lake, they provide loaner rod and reels for us, and we have to pay a very, very small fraction of the cost it would take for the fish food and nothing for the fish and those types of things. Just a couple of years ago, we began working on this fishing pier that's shown in the picture that now exists at Bass Lake Park. That was constructed by the Wildlife Resources Commission at no charge to the town. The only responsibilities the town has is for everyday general maintenance. If a board was to break or there was some other minor repair needed, then we would be responsible for that. If there's any structural need or structural repair needed, then the commission would come in and take care of those problems. We do have, I believe we do have a contract for that pier. Now, and over the last year or so, we've been having different and occasional conversations with the Wildlife Resources Commission about adding a similar type pier in the pond at Veterans Park that could be constructed under the same type of agreement as we have at Bass Lake. The pier would be at no charge to the town. We'd still have to do general maintenance and those types of things. Unlike Bass Lake Park, we will have some requirement there to make the pier handicap accessible, which is something that we would be required to do. And at that time, I'm sure we'll have to come back and get funding, or either get that put in the budget. The timing may be that we just put it in the budget and don't have to come back before you here to do that. I don't think it would be a great cost. Certainly worth the benefit of having accessible fishing at the lake. They've also agreed to stock the lake for us, and we've not asked them about any fish feeders or those types of things, but I don't really think that would be necessary at this time. So tonight, all I'm asking for you to do is just instruct staff to continue pursuing this arrangement with Wildlife Resources Commission. We certainly have a really good relationship with them. They work with us on many of our events that we have at Bass Lake, and we reciprocate with them also and go to some other places and help them with their events also. So it works out really well for us. I think this would be a great amenity for Veterans Park. My understanding is we already have a pretty good fisherman population over there. I think the kids find it very convenient for them to fish, and I've seen that. I've seen a very happy young kid there one day with a very nice largemouth bass, and so that's a really good thing for the neighborhood there, and good for the kids. So I guess I have a motion here for you.
Len, what time frame are we looking at for this?
I don't think it's
Not that far?
that far along. I think it's just a matter of
SAP.
getting on the schedule. And we've already met with several members of their staff, including their fishery division's chief and the chairman of the Wildlife Resources Commission, who is a resident of Holly Springs, by the way. And,
Which helps just a bit.
Doesn't hurt.
Is the size of the pier about the same as the one over there? Because I've been there.
I'm not certain, but
I guess a little,
it
maybe
may
smaller?
be, it may be that it has, depending on the areas that we want to make it available to fish. We might have to, it may have to be constructed in a different shape in order for that to happen. But all the pictures that I've seen before have been of the T-shape.
T-shape. Yeah, I like that. Yes. Right.
And we talked earlier today about any liability the town might have for having that structure out on the water and not having that area monitored with personnel. Is there any general liability that we already have coverage for that would take care of that?
John?
Any property that's added to our parks would just come into the fold of our general liability policy with the League of Municipalities. So there would be, having a wood structure over water would, certainly, you're not going to see an increase in your insurance premiums unless, unless the insurer has reason to believe that we're not maintaining them properly, or we're not. But Len's got the Parks and Rec department does a really good job of periodic daily inspection and whatnot. So a lot of our greenways, even that have been installed for the last 10 years in like the Arbor Creek, the Windcrest area, have really held up quite well, and periodic annual maintenance and restaining and whatnot. So as long as that keeps going on, you're not going to see any increase in your insurance premiums or that type of thing. Then kids will be kids and jump, but they're going to jump in a pond anyway. So that's whether or not there's a wood structure there or not. So that occurs too.
Other questions or comments?
Thanks for your work on this, and Commissioner Coley for his help as well. It's a great addition.
We ready for motion?
I'll make the motion to instruct staff to move forward with developing an agreement with NC Wildlife Resources Commission for the fishing pier at Veterans Park.
Second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Lance. It's a good project.
One other item of similar subject. I did learn in our meetings that the Wildlife Resources Commission is underway with renovations and enlargement of the Avent Ferry boat ramp.
Oh, yeah?
For Sharon Harris.
Yeah.
And it's not particularly related to us, but certainly is something that our residents will be happy to hear about.
That's good news.
I saw the plans. It looks phenomenal.
And I think one of the things they're doing there is building a pier similar to this for
Yeah.
people to fish off of too. So.
Yep. It'll help with the congestion a lot.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda item 8D, new business. Receive report on town's acceptance of Greenway. Len, again.
Because we've had a lot of things happening with greenways, and as things happen, discussions, we have more and more discussion about the priorities and where we are with greenways. And I know this is also going to be a topic with significant discussion at the retreat, but I wanted to give you some information that to carry with you about, just so you would know how things did work with the greenways constructed by development, and how they currently work, and and give you some idea about what is currently going on in one of our subdivisions and the addition of Greenway from the underpass up to Avent Ferry Road at the bypass, which is, I think we've called it Udley Creek Greenway, is that right? And that is very significant, and I'll come back to that. But anyway, tonight, I wanted to tell you that we're getting close to finalizing the greenway that's being constructed at 12 Oaks. Part of their developer agreement required them to build about 1.6 miles of greenway. That 1.6 mile greenway came with a price to the town in that they got credit of unit credit, which meant that they did not have to pay Parks and Rec fees for, I think it's $38 a foot, and the total linear footage is 8450, I believe, 8,450 feet for that. That greenway is I would say close to 90% complete. We've been inspecting with our staff and with the engineering staff for a while. I don't know that we've accepted anything yet, but they have about 800 feet left remaining to complete that greenway. That's the way in the past developers assisted in the development of greenways. That's no longer the case. They still have to build their greenways, only they don't get credit for them anymore. They have to put in greenways. If they're on the master plan, they have to put in greenways just like they would put in water lines, sidewalks, streets, and that type of thing. So the total contribution of the town into that greenway was, if my math is right, $321,000. But for 1.6 miles of greenway, that's a pretty good deal. So anyway, I wanted to let you know that. Going back to the Udley Creek Greenway, the significance of that is that not only are we going from the underpass with a greenway up to Avent Ferry Road to where it will intersect with a sidewalk and give accessibility all the way to Holly Glen and the Braxton area. There's also going to be connectivity on the town side of that greenway that brings it from the current end point up to Ballantyne Street, that gives everyone west of the bypass accessibility to the downtown area, and also to all of our other greenways that are accessible to the downtown area. So it's two really significant projects. And as we try to get accessibility from the west, from 12 Oaks, there's also along that same greenway, because of the school system development and other residential development there, we've got further accessibility in our efforts to get to the shopping center and to Ting Park. That's our east-west major greenway core, and of course the Udley Creek and Avent Ferry pedestrian access is our southern method for people to get to downtown. So just wanted to let you folks know that tonight. You can be thinking about those things as you prepare for retreat time.
Len, could you just give a physical description of this new greenway coming from 12 Oaks?
It's 10-foot asphalt.
Okay.
Greenway.
Okay, all completely new. It's not interconnected with the sidewalks as part of that?
No, it will cross sidewalks.
Okay.
It'll cross sidewalks on Green Oaks Parkway. And there may be another place or two, but I'm not aware. I know that's the major
Nice.
crossing there. It goes completely from one side of 12 Oaks from the west to the east.
Very nice.
To the school. Matter of fact, close to the elementary school there.
Other questions or comments of Lynn? This is information only.
Yep.
Just information.
If not, I want to take a couple minutes. Doesn't happen very often when we have somebody show at the town board meeting. That probably will be the last one officially. And for those of you who haven't heard, he's finally going to retire after 100 years of service. That's where he grew the beard. I just want to commend you personally and the staff, Park and Rec staff, who does a great job. I often have said to you, you got one of the most important and perhaps one of the most difficult jobs of anybody here. If you talk about all the people you interface with in this town, it's amazing. So I want to compliment you. I want to wish you many happy and healthy years. And congratulations. We're going to miss you. I'll miss you coming down and tell me what's going on too. So you can still come back, right?
She'll come back.
And you may have something you want to say too, so this is your opportunity.
Well, I do want to say just a little, if you'll bear with
Poco?
me. I wish I knew exactly how many town council meetings I've been to, next month it would be 32 years that I've been a director. Not all here, 21 and a half here, but I'm pretty confident that I've been to over 800 town hall meetings or town board meetings.
Town board meetings.
So I'm pretty confident of that. My stay here has been better than I would have ever dreamed. I didn't realize when I ran into Bill Lee in the food line in early 1996, and he asked me if I would consider coming to Holly Springs to build parks. I never dreamed it would be like this, although he told me that it would add years to my life and life to my years. That was his exact words.
Never heard that.
I'm not sure which one of those, what the order is, but certainly it's been a privilege to be here. Times have not all been good, although I will say the last 15 years have been fantastic. That can be attributed to not anything that I've done, but because of the leadership for the town over those 15 years. I never would have dreamed that we would be able to accomplish the things that we have. I've never seen a group, and I've been involved with many teams. There was another chapter in my life that involved team, but I never envisioned or never been on a team where people pulled everyone in the same direction. And I can tell you that here, that's been the case. And I can't tell you of any other place that has happened. I know that in speaking with my peers in other towns, I know their jobs have been made a lot harder because of what our leadership has done here. Other towns are getting busy now, and it's to the benefit of the residents of Wake County, but other towns are getting busy doing things because of what we've been able to do here. It's been an honor for me to be part of that. And but I tell you, it's not what I do. I'm not sure how many of them are here tonight.
There's a couple.
But I'd like for all of my staff members to please stand Sabrina, you can stand too. You've been a don't know. There's been times, and there's probably still times, where we're not going to have enough employees to do everything that we'd like to do, and sometimes it's just not possible to do everything that you want to do. But these folks make my life easy, and they've heard this before. But that's the truth. They're always there, regardless of the time of day or night that they're needed. Provide great support, provide input, and they're the reason that I never dreaded one day coming to work. And so I thank you for your words, Mayor.
I think we should stand before you. Thank you, Lamb. You done good. Switching gears, agenda item 8E, new business, Meineke Infrastructure Reimbursement Agreement. That's hard to say. And it's Kendra Parrish.
Should have let Lynn go last. This is kind of boring. We should have gone out with a bang.
That's true.
All right. So what's before you tonight is the Meineke Infrastructure and Reimbursement Agreement. Back in April, the Meineke site was approved. And as you see here, this is Main Street. This is headed north. Cayman Avenue is right here. And then Crossway Lane. So this is a vacant parcel. Meineke will be constructing their building. Site plans approved. And per our UDO, they do on-site road widening. Once we got into construction drawings, we saw that there was an opportunity to, if they were going to be out there widening Main Street across their frontage and building a median, what we wanted to see is that median to be cohesive from Cayman to Crossway. So we talked with the developer, and what's the term that's in this agreement is that they would build this section, and then the portion that is off-site, the total amount is $40,221.25. I'm sure it'll come in 25 cents. So they'll build it. So what's out there today, this is the Meineke site. So, you know, when you come out of Crossway, there's that little piece of monolithic concrete island that's there that prevents folks from turning left out of the auto shop there and ends there. So what Meineke would be doing is going ahead and doing sidewalk road widening. So we would have sidewalk all the way across here, and then the median would be completed for this area. And I can answer any questions. There's the one motion is to approve reimbursing the developer for this amount for that work.
Questions or comments?
So they're going to do the medium all the way up towards Cayman, right?
Yes. So I should have shaded, but right here you see this rounded. That will be an island, a median, all the way across here.
Okay.
And then there's a left turn lane. So like right now, if you wanted to come out of Advanced Auto, there's that little skinny piece of island.
Yeah.
So you can turn right out, and then you can make a U-turn if you want to go back left. But none of these parcels through here are allowed to turn left already. So as you'll see, there's little pork chop islands that prevent any kind of left turns. So we're not changing anybody's access point with this median, but it's going ahead and getting all those improvements in with the construction of this parcel.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't want to do this, the other option is they would widen across their frontage, pay a fee in lieu, and at some point we would come back and do this probably, and it would
Anyway,
cost
yeah,
more.
yeah,
But
Makes sense. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, tackle the last motion of the evening. Well, not quite. There's one or two more.
Motion to approve reimbursing the developer $40,221.25 for installing the additional full median proposed along Main Street between Crossway Lane and Cayman Avenue, and budget amendment.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Kendra. Item number 9 is other business. I'll say it every time, crosswalk safety, crosswalk safety. I think we're making progress. Can you give us any kind of update on what we talked about at the last meeting about the new ones coming in? Real quick.
the beacon lights
Yeah.
that we approved. Yes, so we've talked to the contractor. We've been working on getting a signed contract. They have to get us their bond information, payment and performance bond, and we've got a pre-con set up, and we're working to try to get those in. Once we get the signed contract executed, we'll get a better schedule.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
still moving forward on that.
Okay. Also, let's make 2018 a great year for all the citizens in Holly Springs, and I think we've been talking about that. Other comments from other business? Seeing none?
No.
Then I'll shut up. Manager's report.
Yes, sir. I was given a note to share with the public for those hardy souls that love the cold weather. We are having our winter farmers market outdoors this weekend from 9:30 till noon. And if there are any changes in the schedule, just refer to our Facebook page if there is a change. But as of right now, we're outdoors this week.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah, I think so. We'll have something later for Lynn, but one thought that did occur to me when he asked his staff to stand up is, and I'll say this again later, but I'll say this now. I think one of the strengths that he has brought to this position is he has very good instincts for hiring excellent people, and his staff is second to none in the Parks and Rec field.
Great.
The thought that comes to my mind is they care. They really do. They have a real passion for what they do, and we all benefit from that and Lynn's leadership, and that's just one example of that. But just want to say thank you to Lynn and thank you to his staff.
Totally agree. Yep. Counselor?
Yes, sir.
Aw. Your motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Keep warm.